Oh no, Biddy's down. Looks like I'm fasting tonight until the Biddy bounce like the Passion of Christ. In today's show, I'll be sharing the latest technical analysis as we do each and every day. We'll also be discussing the latest from the high priest of Bitcoin, Max Kaiser, as well as the M2 money supply could trigger a parabolic Bitcoin rally, as well as U.S. spot Bitcoin ETFs see the largest ever daily outflow of 938 million as the institutional manipulation continues. We'll also be discussing Bybit hacker launders 335 million as funds continue on the move regarding the 1.4 billion recent hack. Also breaking news, GameStop buying Bitcoin would bake the noodles of TradFi, according to the Swan executive. We'll also be discussing a very bullish price prediction of Bitcoin doing another 100x from here, according to the Bitcoin OG Tour Demeester. We'll also be discussing a throwback prediction from 16 years ago, back when Bitcoin was trading at virtually zero. This man made a 10 million price prediction. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market, all this plus so much motherfucking more right here in today's show. If you're new to the channel, very important to smash the likes. Go ahead, subscribe, then hit that bell icon, ring it to turn on all notifications, and you'll receive daily premium crypto news alerts every single day, 7 days a week, just like this. Today is pod episode 1917. I'm your host, JV. I almost said JB. Ironic. But anyways, today is February 26, 2025. Markets pretty wrecked overall. Big correction this week, obviously, preaching to the choir. But as you can see on your screen, Bitcoin's currently in the $83,000 range, fast approaching 80,000, potentially can slip all the way to 70. You guys let me know where you feel the bottom will be as we continue, and I'll dive into a little TA here shortly, so stay tuned. Looking at the market right now, as you can see, Bitcoin's corrected another 4.5% on the day. Ether's down 6.5%. Most all the major cryptos minus Litecoin, not doing so well today. And zooming out and checking out coinmarketcap.com. The current crypto market cap sits at 2.76 trillion. The Bitcoin market cap all the way down to 1.65 trillion. Dominance, we'll get to in a second. Volume is 137 billion for the past 24 hours. Dominance is at 60.2%. Ether holding on to 10% dead even. And checking out top 100 crypto gainers past 24 hours. We got Kato up 41%, Story up 13%, and Berachain up 12%. But the majority of the market is on Wreck City, and we'll get to that here shortly. As you can see here on the crypto bubble, safe to say 80-20, red over green on the day. And zooming out on the monthly. And as you can see, Wreck City for real, maybe 90 to 95% of the market. Many of these major alts, including Trump coin, down over 50%. So be careful with the shit coinery. And checking out the Crypto Greed Index, we're even lower today. I like to share this metric because the lower this gets in extreme fear, the more likely of a big pump, and vice versa. When these numbers get very high, we're more likely of a dump. But right now they're very low, the lowest we have seen it. Still some room to go lower though. Currently in extreme fear. Last week was 44 and last month is 71 in greed. And checking out the Zion Chain calendar, we have 164,574 blocks into the next halving of 2028. We're currently on block number 885,426, but who's counting? And you can currently exchange one fiat monopoly dollar for almost 1,200 sats today. So a great BTFD opportunity, 1,197 per dollar to be exact. So pick up the sats, put down the gats, and pick up some Bitcoin caps from my man Sergio over at bitcoincaps.net. We're going to dive right into today's technical analysis, aka astrology for the broskies. So let's break down the latest. Also be pulling up the live charts, which I love to do. Bitcoin price top is not in as the Wyckoff model hints at 100,000 for the retest. Well, I guess we got to get back out of the 80s, obviously. But Bitcoin has dropped by as much as 21% over a month after establishing the record high of 109.3, which ironic enough was Inauguration Day. That was the morning Trump got sworn in. Still, some analysts remain optimistic, anticipating a continuation of the bullish trend in 2025. They say the trend is your friend. The Wyckoff reaccumulation pattern is a technical setup that is comprised of consolidation and accumulation periods following a strong uptrend. And speaking of periods, exactly what we're witnessing with all the red in the market. This pattern typically plays out in 9 key phases. Preliminary supply, buying the climax, the automatic reaction, the secondary test, the spring, the test, the laser point of the support in the final phase, and then leading to the sign of the strength. And as of the 26th, today, Bitcoin has entered the test phase of the Wyckoff pattern. According to independent analysts, Super Bro, I don't know of any relation to the Super Smash Bros, Mario and Luigi, but I digress. In this phase, Bitcoin's retesting the spring phase low of 85,950, which we're currently below. We're currently in the 83, 84 range and dropping. It's wild. As support, aiming to confirm a bullish continuation towards its new last point of support near 96,780, already lost, unfortunately. The Wyckoff reaccumulation framework expects a new uptrend cycle to begin once Bitcoin enters the final stage, which is the sign of strength. That's what we're waiting on. It would require a successful retest of the partner's peak near 106.7, the pattern, my bad, including a decisive breakout above the 100,000 threshold. All eyes on 6 figures. And again, we're like 25,000 away from the all-time high right now, so it's a great BTFD opportunity. Shout out Trevor Fay. I appreciate you joining the HODL gang and supporting the show in that way. HODL gang, HODL gang, HODL gang. A similar pattern in August of 2024 resulted in a price boom from 53 to 74. And interestingly, this analyst VJ recalled the same period in 2024 wherein Bitcoin consolidated inside 50 to 70 price range for 8 months, only to break upwards in November when Trump won the U.S. presidential election, which really kicked off that second leg of the bull run. Bitcoin weekly charts indicate more price declines in the coming weeks, but instead of speaking about it, let's just pull up some of the charts. But first, I want to share a prediction from the high priest of Bitcoin, the one and only bishop of Bitcoin, Max Kaiser. The MAGA agenda means efficiency and accountability to an economy and stock market that has known neither for 45 years. I'd expect a 66% pullback in the S&P 500 if Trump and Musk go full metal jacket on fraud, waste, and abuse. So my question for y'all, do you think we will likely see a 66% pullback in the S&P? And what do you think the carnage will reflect in Bitcoin if we do get the 66% pullback in the stocks? Holla and let me know. Let's pull up some of the live charts, a little live chart action, Jackson. We are recovering from that bottom, as you can see, but it is a 1 minute chart, so it doesn't mean much. But we are green at this very moment on the minute chart. But like I said, we got to zoom out and get a better perspective. Let's check out the 1 hour, and we'll keep working our way backwards. 1 hour chart looks like Bitcoin fell off a cliff. Good Lord. Just crashing all morning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 virtually consecutive red hourly closes, which is not good, with 1 itty bitty green in between. So the cascading losses continue as we continue to bottom. And zooming out from there, we check out the 4 hour. Not looking good. Typically, it's my favorite chart to look at, but obviously the past 12 hours have been pretty horrific. And zooming out from the 4 hour. But here's the silver lining, broskies. 1 Bitcoin is still 1 Bitcoin. So if you're a Bitcoiner, there's really nothing to worry about. If you got caught leverage trading or doing something high risk, such as the altcoins, then you're probably like, kicking yourself in the butt right now, because most likely you got wrecked. And that's why you got to be very careful with the shitcoinery. You've been warned. But on the daily chart, 3 days of obviously big red closes, which is not good, taking us further and further down. We're currently 82.6 and we're dropping pretty fast. I have a strong feeling we're going to retest 80 as support here, probably during today's show. And let's see if it holds or if we continue to crash more. Like I said, Arthur Hayes was calling for 70,000 as a bottom. There are some CME future gaps between 70 and 80. So we'll see how this plays out. And zooming out, from the 1 day, take a quick look at the weekly. Obviously, big red candle forming here. But we still have the 124,000 target on your screen, which I feel can still happen quite fast if the market were to turn around, retest 100,000 and break through. I think once we could test the current all-time high of 109.3 and re-enter price discovery. I think that's the most likely scenario, heading to the 120 to 130 range, but I know that seems like miles away at the current moment, considering we're only at 83. I mean, it's quite a distance, but nonetheless, checking out the monthly, we do get a new monthly candle close. Clearly, it's going to be red, unless a miracle happens between now and Friday, and I believe Friday is the last day of the month. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it is February, the greatest month of the year and the shortest at the same time, but I'm a little biased. Clearly, it's my birthday month. Okay, parabolic Bitcoin. Obviously, market's crashing, but we can still be optimistic. This next headline here reads, M2 money supply can trigger a parabolic Bitcoin rally. What'd Roy Jones say? Y'all must have forgot. The growing M2 money supply could trigger the major rally for the Bitty, but an analyst cautions against betting everything on the emerging signal. Yeah, you don't gamble, you just hodl, DCA, and stack accordingly. Quoting him here, this isn't a market to bet your whole stash on a quick correction, but our central scenario is still for a strong March and beyond. So let's prepare for a strong March, shall we? In normal times, global loosening measures are a pretty reliable lead indicator for the crypto. The data we have suggests the spot buyers are active buying right now, and the U.S. has raised its debt ceiling by $4 trillion. Go U.S. It's not all doom and gloom, he added. The year-on-year fixed exchange rate for the M2 money supply of the four major central banks have reached 3.6% in January, according to the macro data as outlined right here. Many crypto analysts point to historical trends where a global M2 money supply rise has led to the higher Bitty prices, driven by increased liquidity as well as the lower interest rates. Economist Lynn Alden wrote in September research report, Bitcoin moves in the direction of the global M2 83% of the time. Now, ironic is I was born in 1983, and what else is ironic? The pretty low Bitty is sitting at a discount at 83 right now. Coincidence? I think not. Crypto analyst Bitcoin Data said, with weakness in the dollar causing the net positive effect on global M2, just a matter of time, hopefully, before the Bitcoin realizes. And echoing a similar sentiment, we have Colin Talks Crypto, who shared that the global M2 money supply predicts a big move is coming for the Bitty. Let me know if you agree. Investment research account Bravo Research said in the next post that the U.S. money supply has doubled in just 10 years. And this liquidity surge can fuel the Bitcoin parabolic run up. It comes as Bitcoin just dropped now to 83 G's, baby. And that was after Trump said a day earlier he planned 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico. It seems we've been dumping ever since. And he had agreed to pause them for 30 days earlier this month. But you guys let me know how you think the market will play out. My personal two Satoshis here is there's a lot of manipulation from the big boys, the big players, and they prefer to buy Bitcoin at a discount like 83,000 versus 109. And so if they can keep the markets on rec, aka tilt, as long as possible, they're going to do that. They're going to continue to accumulate, and the big dogs, the BlackRocks, the Mikey Saylors, etc., they're laughing all the way to the bank. All right, let's discuss these outflows, which continue to gather momentum. U.S. spot Bitcoin ETFs see the largest ever daily outflow of 938 million. That's why I say there's definitely manipulation going on with the institutions like BlackRock, because it's just day after day, more outflows, more outflows. Clearly, if there were no outflows and there were nothing but $1 billion worth of inflows when we reverse course, market would have to go up, you would think, but U.S. spot Bitcoin ETFs have seen their largest ever daily net outflows as Bitcoin continues to trade below 90. In fact, we're at 83, and we're probably going to be retesting 80 here very soon. The 11 Bitcoin funds on February 25th together saw net outflow almost $1 billion. And what is their sixth straight trading day of outflows? Womp womp. The ETF Exodus, which we covered in great detail in yesterday's show, follows a crypto market route that has seen Bitcoin drop by 3.4% over the last day, plunging to a 24-hour low of 86. Now, again, it's 83 after the intraday low the other day at 92. The Fidelity-Wise Bitcoin Origin Fund led the day's losses with 344 million of outflows, a new record outflow for the ETF. Meanwhile, Bybit was runner-up with an outflow of 164 million. The Bitwise Bitcoin ETF lost 88 million, while Grayscale 2 funds net lost 151 million, split between 66 mil from GBTC and 85 mil from the Bitcoin Mini Trust. And around 2.4 billion has exited the 11 ETFs thus far this month, which have seen just 4 days of net outflows. ETF store president Nate Gerasi said that still amazed at how much TradFi hates Bitcoin and crypto. Huge victory laps at every downturn. Hate to break it to you, but no matter how big the drawdowns are, it is not going away. Meanwhile, analysts and industry expert Just Blaze Arthur Hayes and 10x Research both shared that the majority of the Bitcoin ETF investors are hedge funds seeking arbitrary yields, not long-term Bitcoin investors, hence manipulation. And again, I covered this in great detail yesterday. He's calling for 70,000 dump on the continued outflow from the spot ETFs, which would mean another 13,000 drop before we bottom, if that is to play out. Lots of Bybit hodlers are hedge funds that went long in the ETFs while shorting CME futures, turn a yield greater than that from the short-term U.S. Treasuries. And the basis yield falls with a bitty price. These funds will unwind all their Bybit positions and buy back the CME futures. More manipulation. 10x Research also shared, revealing more than half of the spot Bitcoin ETF investors were funds playing the ETF arbitrage game. Exactly. Said the unwinding process is market neutral since it involves selling ETFs while simultaneously buying Bitcoin futures. I disagree. I think this has a very negative impact on which we're experiencing in the market. But you guys let me know your thoughts. And do you think these ETF outflows will likely continue? And do you think we'll drop all the way down to 70 Gs as Arthur Hayes Just Blaze proposes? Let me know either way, and I'll read your comments out loud. Welcome everyone to the live stream. But let's continue. The latest with the money movement from the Bybit hacker. Remember the 1.4 billion hack? Well, the hacker just laundered 335 million as the funds continue on the move. That's right. The hacker behind the 1.4 billion Bybit exploit has laundered more than 335 million, which investigators counting to track the movement of the stolen funds. Crypto investor sentiment was hit by the largest hack, and I know that didn't help with the price action in the market. When Bybit lost 1.4 billion in liquid staked Ether, Mantle staked ETH, and other digital assets, which were all, I believe, ERC20s, which are on the Ethereum blockchain. On-chain data shows the hacker moved 45,900 Ether, worth about 113 million in the past 24 hours, bringing the total amount laundered to more than 135,000 ETH, valued at 335 million. That leaves the hacker with about 363,900 ETH, worth around 900 million. And the hacker has been identified as a gentleman from the Lazarus Group in North Korea. That's what the news was saying yesterday, at least. Quoting them here, there are still 363,900 ETH worth 900 million, almost $1 billion, in the Bybit hacker address. At the current rate, it'll only take another 8 to 10 days to clean it up. And when they say clean it up, I don't know if that means get rid of it and trade it for something more valuable like Bitcoin, I'm assuming. Blockchain security firms, including Arkham, have identified North Korea's Lazarus Group as the likely culprit behind the exploit. The heist, and this is one of the largest crypto heists of all time. On February 25th, 4 days after the heist, Bybit co-founder Ben Zhao declared war on the Lazarus Group. I mean, look at all these heists that I believe they're responsible for. Bybit, Poly Network, BSE, I mean, 1.4 billion, 611 million, pretty significant hacks. Meanwhile, blockchain analytics firm Elliptic flagged 11,000 crypto wallet addresses suspected to be linked to the Bybit exploit. That list is expected to grow as the investigation continues. Despite the scale of the attack, the Bybit response may help rebuild trust on centralized exchanges. Dan Hughes, founder of the decentralized finance platform Radix, said Bybit's immediate response prevented a larger market sell-off, quoting him here. Assuming the worst is behind us, the manner in which Bybit handled the situation may actually recover some confidence in the centralized exchanges. It would demonstrate that with adults at the wheel, centralized exchanges can be trustworthy and responsible custodians of our assets. So are they trying to say non-adults are untrustworthy? I don't get it. As if like the hackers are non-adults or something, right? Primarily, it matters most if Bybit can indeed absorb that loss as claim, and thus far, withdrawals have been honored. And I believe there was a mass exodus of withdrawals of over $5 billion of liquidity drained from the exchange. People in fear that maybe it would go under if there was similar to what we call a bank run where all the customers want to withdraw at the same time, you know. Bybit continued to honor customer withdrawals and had fully replaced. All it would take is like, especially with social media, like one customer, I try to withdraw and they won't allow me. And then it would spread like wildfire, and then there'd be a huge run up and the exchange would Yeah, I mean, just like we saw with FTX, that can happen to any exchange at any time. You got to be very careful. But anyways, Bybit hack alone accounts for more than half of the 2.3 billion stolen in crypto-related hacks. So it seems Bybit is a honey pot in of itself. The hackers love Bybit because I guess when you have 1.4 billion just sitting in an address, you attract it. You know what I mean? Crazy. We're going to discuss the latest from GameStop. 4 point something billion on the balance sheet. Could be buying Bitcoin. You never know. Michael Saylor's been commenting his post, and there's been some talks, and there's been pictures of them recently meeting. So who knows what's really going on, but this would be major. And then we'll discuss the 10 million prediction. And I know it feels like a lifetime away. Like, oh, JV, we're at 80,000. You're talking 10 million, you crazy motherfucker. I mean, it is what it is. We cover the good, bad, the ugly. Let's not forget, we all know where Bitcoin is headed, and it's heading to that 10 million target. Obviously not happening today, but we will get into it. But first, GameStop buying Bitcoin would bake the noodles. Let's bake the motherfucking noodles then, shall we? And I ain't talking about lo mein, if you feel what I'm saying. I ain't talking about, what are those other noodles all the poor people love? The ramen noodles. And FYI, stay away from ramen. I used to eat a lot of ramen. I didn't know any better, like most folks, especially young men, when you move out of your parents' house. And I think that's all I ate for a long time, ramen noodles. It's one of the most unhealthy foods that you can possibly put in your body, broskies. So get off the ramen, the ramen, whatever you call it. But I digress. GameStop Corp has acknowledged a letter from Strive Asset Management urging the gaming retailer to buy the Biddy, which a crypto exchange executive says can blow the minds of the traditional finance investors. That's right. GameStop CEO Ryan Cohen confirmed in February 26th he received a February 24th letter from the Strive CEO Matt Cole advising the gaming retailer to use $4.6 billion in cash to buy Bitcoin. That'd be pretty significant. And use the market offerings to fund the additional purchases. Now we're talking, quoting them here. If GameStop embarks on the leveraged Bitcoin equity strategy, it will bake the noodles of so many of the TradFi investors and commentators who think both GME and Bitcoin are a joke. Take that, Peter Schiffmeister. GameStop was central to the 2020-2021 meme stock craze and a short squeeze strategy inspired by Reddit users, which caused substantial losses for Wall Street firms short on the GME. GME increased nearly 11,500% from 70 cents to 81.25 between April 2020 and January of 2021. Cole's letter follows a February 13 report that GameStop started considering investing in Bitcoin and alternative asset classes, all detailed right there in the letter. In this letter to GameStop, Cole recommended the company purchase more Bitcoin by issuing new equity via at-the-market offering and convertible debt securities. Sound familiar? Kind of sound like the Sailor put. He also said the company should sell or close all stores operating at a loss and expand its online presence, which would allow it to be able to purchase more of the Biddy. Cole said a Bitcoin treasury would position GameStop from meme stock to market leader while serving as a true savings asset by protecting the company against inflationary pressures impacting fiat currencies. Cole advised GameStop to steer clear of investing in any other cryptos. I couldn't agree more. Stay away from the shitcoinery. As the Bitcoin-only approach would reinforce GameStop's image as a disciplined, forward-looking organization while protecting the long-run shareholder returns. GameStop's Cohen recently shared a photo with Mikey Saylor, the chairman of the $44.2 billion Bitcoin holdings business and intelligence firm Strategy B, formerly known as MicroStrategy. I mean, look at these two giga-chads together. I mean, don't get no sexier than that, except the GameStop CEO needs to get one of Saylor's Bitcoin shirts on underneath. That'd be pretty dope. But anyways, Strategy's Bitcoin buying has inspired other public forums, including MetaPlanet, who just announced another purchase, as I shared in yesterday's show, alongside El Salvador, to adopt similar strategies. Now, big money could be about to flow from GameStop right into Bitcoin. Other companies, there's Amazon, there's Microsoft, there's a lot of big companies out there that should really embrace thy Biddy. And quoting Luke Broyles, if GameStop buys $5 billion of the Biddy at 88,000, and then another $3 billion raised at 110,000, they would have 84,090 Biddy. GameStop has a brief opportunity to become legitimately a financial powerhouse if they act quickly and decisively. So the $1 million question becomes, will they pull the trigger? Is the GameStop CEO talking with Saylor right now and thinking about the big Bitcoin purchase, potentially $5 billion? And how would that likely impact the pretty little bitty price action Jackson? You guys let me know, and I'll read your comments out loud. Now for our feature story of the day, Bitcoin can grow by another 100x. Can it really? Yes. Absolutely. According to this Bitcoin OG Tour Demeester, and Max Kaiser reposted it, actually found it on his timeline earlier, and I thought it would be a great topic of discussion, especially as we're correcting in the 80,000 range right now. Why not? But yeah, shout out Tour Demeester. Appreciate you sharing this. He wrote clearly right here, could Bitcoin grow by another 100x? Yes. And hypothetically, if we did from 100,000, that would take us to 10 million per coin. And speaking of 10 million per coin, there is a guy by the name of Hal Finney that predicted Bitcoin to hit 10 million 16 years ago, back when Bitcoin was trading at virtually zero. So speaking of visionaries, rest in peace, Hal Finney. But let's first look at this chart. You should be able to see this on your screen. Let me know if you guys can see that. Or should I keep it small so nothing's cut off? That might be better if we just keep it that way so you can see the full image. Yeah, we'll do that. So as you can see, Bitcoin's currently at less than 1% of the total addressable market. Speculation of the total global wealth is currently above 900 trillion. So we're just going to use 900 trillion as the number. So if Bitcoin accounts for just 0.2% of that 900 trillion in global wealth, Bitcoin's total addressable market would be 225 trillion, which is virtually, I think we're currently at like what, 1.7 trillion or 1.8 trillion. So it would more than double. It'd be crazy. 100x, easy peasy, assuming a 50% market share of the store value assets, of course. So looking at that 900 trillion of the global wealth, total addressable market, estimate 330 trillion currently in real estate, which is a pretty big market, clearly. Bonds are 300 trillion, another major market. And then we have the money, which is at 120 trillion. We have gold at just 16 trillion. We have art. I didn't even realize the art market was $18 trillion. Equities, 115 trillion. And the Bitcoin total addressable market, when it hits 225 trillion, it's a game on. We're talking 10 million per Bitcoin or in that ballpark. And right now, so you can see how minuscule we're at. Like I said, we're currently less than 2 trillion. And let me actually pull up coin market cap, and we'll just look at the exact number, so I'm not making anything up. So yeah, right now, as of today, the Bitcoin market cap is all the way down, good lord, to 1.67 trillion. The all-time high is just above 2 trillion, just FYI. So pretty significant. And reading some of the comments here, this guy wrote, "Hey Tor, I built a live dashboard to track this in real time." Oh my God. And it puts things in perspective. And Tor wrote, those are some really neat graphics. This one's one of my favorite at the moment. And you can see the sats per dollar. This was 1,135. Today, you get close to 1,200 sats per dollar because of the decline. So seize the moment, take advantage of it. But let's get into this OG prediction going back 16 years. And back then, the total addressable market was way less than it is today. So also keep that in mind, which means if the total addressable market was what it is today, 16 years ago from the inception of Bitcoin, then this infamous 10 million prediction from Hal Finney would have been extremely larger. But I digress. Bitcoin historian Pete Rizzo, R-I-Z-Z-O, open your ears, jackass. Shout out to the Jerky Boys. I was a huge fan growing up. Reignited interest in the iconic prediction in the recent tweet 16 years ago. Hal Finney forecasts a future biddy price of 10 million per coin when the crypto was still valued at zero. You got to give it up for the OGs. And shout out to Mr. Rizzo, R-I-Z-Z-O. Open your ears there, Joey. And I mean, it's all written right here, so I'll just read you what he wrote. This is, again, 16 years ago. He wrote, "As an amusing thought experiment, imagine that Bitcoin is successful and becomes the dominant payment system in use throughout the world. Then the total value of the currency should be equal to the total value of the wealth in the world. The current estimate of the total worldwide household wealth that I have found ranges from 100 trillion to 300 trillion. And again, today we're 900 trillion, which is 3 times higher than the proposed range that he gave back then of 300 trillion. So keep that in mind, which means we can hit 30 million. With 20 million coins, that gives each coin a value of about 10 million. So the possibility of generating coins today with a few cents of computing time may be quite a good bet. Yeah. With a payoff of something like 100 million to 1. And that's precisely the type of returns Max and Stacy are experiencing right now. God bless them. Even if the odds of the Bitcoin succeeding to this degree are slim, are they really 100 million to 1 against? Just something to think about. Very powerful post right there. Here's the OG right here. And again, may he rest in peace. Hal Finney's all-time best Bitcoin quotes. Let's go through this thread. He's an OG. He's a legend. So let's click on this baby. And this was posted Jan 10th from the Bitcoin historian. Let's see here. What other quotes do we got? The most bullish quotes from Hal Finney. All right, here we go. So he also says, well, that's the one I just covered as an amusing thought experiment, and he projects the 10 million. Another prediction he made when it was $6. Unless Bitcoins become substantially more valuable, the Bitcoin network will never be substantially more resistant to attack. For Bitcoin to succeed and become secure, Bitcoins must become vastly more expensive. And this was, again, a prediction from March 17th, 2011, when it was only $6. Another prediction when it was $22. Every day that goes by and Bitcoin hasn't collapsed increases the chance of eventual success and justifies the higher price. Amen. When it was 0, January of 1994. Good Lord. If you want to change the world, don't protest. Write code. Speak. And for those that didn't know, 2 years after this, Max Kaiser actually got the credit with the first what's the term? Digital currency ever created. He actually holds the patent on it, FYI, and that was in 96. When Bitcoin was trading at a penny, February 10th, the day before my birthday on 2010, he wrote, Bitcoin has the potential to become the dominant currency worldwide. If this happens, Bitcoins could be worth millions of dollars each. And it's just crazy. Again, this is 16 years ago, before anyone knew about Bitcoin. Another prediction from 1992. Here we are faced with the problems of loss of privacy, creeping computerization, massive databases, more centralization, and digital cash offers a completely direction to go in. The computer can be used as a tool to liberate and protect people rather than to control them. Can I get an amen? He also wrote, back when Bitcoin was 0 in 2008, Bitcoin seems to be a very promising and original idea. Yeah, I'd say that again. And when it was a quarter on November 7th of 2008, since we are all rich with Bitcoins, or will be once they're worth 1 million, like everyone expects, we ought to put some of this unearned wealth to good use. And when Bitcoin was 26 cents, December 4th, 2010, Bitcoin is a global, decentralized, yet consistent database. This database is used to record transfers of coins, but it could potentially be used for more. There are many applications for a global, consistent database. And was 28 cents, December 21st, 2010. I see Bitcoin as ultimately becoming a reserve currency for the banks, playing much the same role as gold did in the early days of banking. Banks could issue digital cash with greater anonymity and lighter weight, more efficient transactions. I mean, and if you don't know, now you know. Let me know your thoughts on that. And speaking of 10 million, I got a bonus prediction from you from Mikey Saylor. This is something he shared where he projected Bitcoin would 425x. There's a throwback, but I transcribed the interview, and here's what Mikey Saylor wrote. Because Bitcoin is just pure money, it's just as effective at 100,000 a coin as 10,000 a coin. And at 1 million a coin, it's just as effective. And at 10 million a coin, it's probably more compelling at 10 million a coin than 1 million or 100,000 a coin. It's kind of a universally scalable asset that gets less risky. The only thing that is going to change, in my opinion, is when it was super risky and scary, below 10,000, you were getting 1 to 200% a year annualized gains. And when it got a bit more understandable, between 10,000 and 100,000, your gains go to 40 or 50% a year. And then at some point, they go to 30%, 20%. And in the extreme, if everybody in the world understood the pretty little bitty going up forever, it would be 20, 30, 40% of the wealth of the world. So it would be 200 to 300 trillion in today's dollars. And then the price would be appreciating at a rate of the global inflation in the fiat currency. And then he ends it with this. So if the gold inflation rate remains a 7, it would still remain a 7, and then it would appreciate a little bit more because of the productivity of the people that adopt it as a treasury reserve asset. And if you don't know, now you know. Let me know your thoughts. Those are 3 predictions for you at $10 million per coin. Let me know if you agree, disagree. And of course, it's not happening overnight. Most likely not going to happen this cycle. Hate to bust your bubble. But nonetheless, it will happen one day. And I will be streaming and I will be celebrating. And we'll probably have a 10 million Bitcoin fiesta with the Nipponator. Why not? But anyways, welcome everyone.